What is going on, guys? Scorpionslayer66 here, coming at you for another edition of Vinyl Updates. Now, I actually ended up buying quite a bit of stuff in December just because it is so hard for my family to buy me things. So I either get like record store gift cards or cash or whatever. So I ended up buying a lot for myself, a lot more than I anticipated, so let's hop right into it. Now, I know this is probably a terrible choice to start off with for this month, but this is the Pink Panther soundtrack. Now, I have a friend that went to a music school, and he actually told me that this is some of his favorite jazz composition in terms of things that were associated with like pop culture at the time. So yeah, I mean, everybody knows the Pink Panther theme, so yeah, this is like a later reissue, but it was, I think it was $2, so definitely worth it with the shrink wrap still on it. So this was another $2 bin find, and this was Aretha live at Fillmore West. Now, I love Aretha Franklin. I only have one of her records simply because a lot of the records that I like from her I haven't seen in my area too often. But I actually saw that one of my favorite groups right now, Bad Bad Not Good, talked about this album on What's in My Bag on the Amoeba YouTube channel, which is like my favorite YouTube series of all time. So yeah, I saw it and I had to pick it up, so I haven't gotten to spin it yet, but I'm very excited. Yet another $2 bin find. This is Star Wars and Other Galactic Funk by Miko. I had no idea what this was. I just thought it was something that was just very similar looking to Star Wars before Star Wars came out, but it's actually funk interpretations of Star Wars tracks and then like 3 original compositions. Again, I haven't gotten to spin this yet because I just got these like over the weekend, but very weird piece, and I knew it had to come with me as soon as I saw it. I was very happy to find this for $5. This was Sade's Diamond Life. Now, Sade is an artist I kind of grew up with. My dad really enjoyed her, but it wasn't like I knew a lot of her songs by name or whatever. I just kind of knew it was Sade because of her incredible voice. But yeah, so as I kept getting older and I started exploring music more, Sade was just one of those artists that transitioned from my younger years to my older years, because the older I get, the more I appreciate just everything that she did as an artist for her time, and especially as just an amazing female vocalist, one of the most striking voices ever in music in my personal opinion. So yeah, comes with the original sleeve because this is an original pressing. Really cool, and they are on the Portrait label, and I really like the design of the labels for these. It's very like 1950s-esque, and my camera's not going to focus, but yeah, very happy. Again, $5, definitely a steal for these originals in my personal opinion. I definitely would have paid more if they were marked higher, but yeah, very stoked. Really love Sade, and I'm finally glad I have some on vinyl. And I picked up another Sade album for $5, and I got Promise. Now, I think I like this one just a little bit more than Diamond Life. I mean, songs like Jezebel and Mr. Wrong, just really amazing songs and some of the most standout of her career for me personally. But yeah, again, I've never seen Sade out in the wild, so to find 2 of her best albums for $5 a piece, they're absolutely coming home with me. Those who have watched me for a while know my obsession with this man, and this is Sufjan Stevens, the Blue Bucket of Gold and Hotline Bling live single. Now, this isn't the full Carrie and Lowell live performance, obviously, but they give you a download card for it and just kind of like this cool 12-inch of these 2 songs. So yeah, I really like the packaging. It's like super glossy, but in person it kind of looks like tiling in a bathroom, like really glossy tiling. And again, it does come with a download, which is nice. It's a nice big one, and it comes on this beautiful translucent blue vinyl. Again, it's just a 12-inch single, so on the A side is Blue Bucket of Gold, and then the other side is Hotline Bling. So yeah, really awesome to have this. I mean, I don't know how much more I can say about Sufjan. He's just a genius, and even his live performances managed to breathe new life into masterpieces he's written previously. So very cool, and I mean, especially it was like $10, so this had to be mine. Next up, we have Johnny Cash live at San Quentin Prison. Now, as you guys know, I'm not super into country music like that, but I really do love Johnny Cash, as do most people. And this is definitely one of the bigger albums in his discography to a lot of people. So yeah, very cool. This is an original pressing in stereo on Columbia. It comes with the original little advertisement sheets, which I love these just because you get to see a snapshot of what they were trying to promote at the time. And again, they're on Columbia, so they're on those really classy red, black, and white labels. But yeah, just some really raw country music performed to a bunch of prisoners to get a wild energy and reaction out of it. It's kind of just Folsom Prison, but not to the same quality necessarily. Not that this is bad by any means, but it's definitely not as energetic as its brother or sister album. So yeah, very cool though. Stoked to have an original of this and more country for the collection. So my friend has been recommending me Count Basie for a very long time, so I thought I'd take a plunge and buy one of his records, and this is Count Basie at Newport. Now, I've never seen any Count Basie in the wild, but literally as soon as my friend recommends me it, I see two of his records, and I only picked up this one. But yeah, pretty much everything about this he tells me is fantastic. I've listened to the Atomic Basie, but I haven't listened to this one, so very excited to get to this when I do. As you guys may have noticed from last month, I was really enjoying jazz music, and yeah, so I'm very excited to get into this. This is on Verve Records, which is cool because they distributed the Velvet Underground for a little while. So yeah, very interesting, and that definitely caught my eye when I went to buy it. But yeah, super stoked to have this and can't wait to listen. So all last month I was really into people like Tom Waits and Captain Beefheart, and this man is an obvious inspiration to all of those, so I thought I'd pick up an album from him, and this is Howlin' Wolf's Rocking Chair. Now, I'm not very familiar with old blues music, but I obviously know people like Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, but I didn't realize that this was a compilation, but a lot of people state that this is probably his best album, or at least definitely one of the better ones, so yeah, again, haven't listened to it. It's been a crazy month. Obviously, everybody knows the holidays are insane. But yeah, very excited to find this, and it was a 180 gram pressing, and I think it was only like $15, which is cool. I'm really glad that companies are still putting out records that aren't like ridiculous. And this is a heavy ass 180. I didn't even realize that until right now, but yeah, this is a really heavy record, so I'm very excited to see how this sounds. Was very excited to find a copy of this, and this is Tom York's Tomorrow's Modern Boxes. Now, if I remember correctly, this album was really hard to find for a little while, and they just reissued it late last year. So yeah, very happy to be able to have a copy of this and not pay a lot for it. You know, this is just some really electronic Tom York. I saw somebody say it's kind of like listening to the song Idiotech on Kid A, but just as a whole album, and obviously a little bit different. But yeah, comes in these amazing sleeves. Like, look how beautiful these things are. And it comes on this gorgeous marble white vinyl, and those inner labels are just so sick. I love the artwork design on pretty much every Radiohead and Tom York release. And it does come with a download, so very, very cool stuff. Again, if you guys like Radiohead, you're probably going to like Tom York's solo stuff just as much. I mean, I prefer Tom York's The Eraser to a number of Radiohead releases, so yeah, very stoked to finally have this. This was definitely one of my personal favorite things I picked up in the month, and this is Lou Reed's Berlin. Now, I've been a huge fan of the Velvet Underground for like years now. You guys know that. I show them on my channel all the time. And I've been trying to find more of Lou Reed's solo stuff outside of like Transformer, and I can never find it in my area. So I guess recently they just did a whole reissue of a lot of his early catalog, and yeah, I had to grab this. They unfortunately didn't have New York, which I was looking for, but yeah, still very excited to finally have this. It comes with like this awesome lyrics book, but there's like just gorgeous photography and design going on in there, and it is on RCA Victor Records, so very cool stuff. If you guys have never checked out Lou Reed's solo stuff from the Velvet Underground, it's pretty much just as important, if not more important in a way, than the Velvet Underground releases. I mean, just some of the most wild and inventive, like kind of poppy rock music for the time, and just yeah, especially the like the cities or the country albums like Berlin, New York, and stuff like that. So yeah, but great albums. I'm still looking for New York, so hopefully I can find a copy of that soon. So I've like never seen this band in my area, so when I saw this album I had to pick it up, and this is They Might Be Giants, self-titled. Now this is just some really good, fun, inventive pop music. I mean, They Might Be Giants was just leaps and bounds ahead of pretty much all the other pop artists going on at the times in terms of creativity. And this is an original pressing, which is very, very cool. I love the labelings on these ones. It's like pictures of them with like the name of the album and all of the tracks. So yeah, a lot of quick songs on here. The album's not too terribly long at all, but there's like 19 or 20 songs if I remember correctly. So yeah, just again, really fun, short, like pop, almost snippets. But yeah, and again, comes with the original liner sheet, which is awesome. So very stoked to have this, and I hope that I can find more of this in the future. Another group that I really don't see around my area too often is Public Image Limited, and so when I saw this original copy of album, I had to pick it up. So Public Image Limited, as you guys probably know, they were what happened with Johnny Rotten, aka John Lydon, after the Sex Pistols had disbanded. He went on to make more like weird, dark, post-punky type stuff. But yeah, this is definitely one of their better albums in my opinion. Just really dark but really well played, like post-punk type stuff. And again, I love the theme that they did with just having everything pretty much be generic. There's their logo, and then it says label, Public Image Limited, and just the names of the songs. So very cool. This was one of the more expensive things I picked up this month. I believe it was like 18 bucks. But totally worth it. I mean, again, Public Image Limited is so hard to find around here, and they've become like an obsession of mine as of recent, so definitely had to pick this up when I saw it. Another one of my favorite things I picked up this month, I've been looking for this album for probably like a good 2 or 3 years, and I finally found a copy, and it's an original, which is sweet. And this is the Talking Heads debut 77, or Talking Heads 77. So yeah, Talking Heads, one of my personal favorite bands out there probably. Just so inventive and creative with punk music at the time. I mean, again, this is 1977, and they were pretty much already doing post-punk before punk music was really established. So, yeah, really cool. I mean, obviously this has Psycho Killer on it. That song is everywhere in the mainstream, so yeah. And it comes with the original sleeves, which is cool. I absolutely love this picture. It's just so great. I just love this band so much. And this is on Sire Records. So very, very cool. Again, I've been looking for this one for years. So to find it for like $6 and original copy in really nice shape, that was totally one of the highlights of my holiday season. So I was talking about them earlier, and here they appear. This is the Velvet Underground 1969. Now, as far as I'm aware, these are just different mixes of songs from the albums in that general vicinity of time. But I haven't listened to it yet, and it's called something different back here, like literally something different. But it's just called Velvet Underground 1969. And it makes it a bitch to try and find this on like Discogs or something. But yeah, it's two 180 gram records, and again, these are heavy ass 180 gram records here, and they did the Verve Records labels like the original, so very, very cool stuff. Again, I haven't listened to this, but you guys know my obsession with the Velvet Underground, so I will definitely be getting to these alternate mixes very soon. I was very happy to see that they finally reissued this album, and this is Pink Floyd's Delicate Sound of Thunder live. Now, if you guys don't know, this is just a live performance that they did, but it was definitely one of the more memorable ones that was ever released. And again, this was recently reissued / remastered, whatever you would like to call it. But yeah, it was part of the series that they've been doing that are just incredible reissues. Like if you see the new Pink Floyd reissues and you're trying to get some for your collection, I highly recommend them. They are fantastic. They come on these gorgeously designed sleeves. And again, there's 2 records. It's like an hour and 45 minutes if I remember correctly, or I could be completely remembering that wrong. But yeah, again, I just got this a little bit after Christmas, so I haven't gotten to spin it. But this is definitely going to be one of the first ones I want to spin. I've been looking for this album for years, debated buying originals, but yeah, waited it out, and it's finally in my hands. Definitely one of the best deals I've had since I started vinyl collecting. And this is a copy of Frank Zappa's Apostrophe. I paid like $1 or $2 for this, and usually at that store, if they get in anything Zappa related, it's usually like $18, $19 because Zappa is hard to come by and it is very desirable. But yeah, this was a bargain bin find, and it sounds just fine. I mean, I played it. It sounds great on the discreet label. But yeah, it was really dusty and dirty, but there's not that many scratches, to be completely honest. And after I gave it a good clean, plays just fine. The occasional pop, but that's to be expected. But yeah, I mean, Zappa, I love the man to death. One of the most boundary-pushing artists that we saw during the psychedelic era of rock music. So yeah, very happy to have this. So more Johnny Cash for my collection. This is American 6, Ain't No Grave. I love the American series that Johnny Cash did. I think, in my personal opinion, it is the greatest thing to ever happen to country music. Every single one to me is incredible. Even the ones that were released like after his passing. But yeah, American 6, I've never seen one of these around again. So I had to pick this up, especially since it was original. And it actually comes on like a cool limited edition color variant. But look at these sleeves. I mean, during this time, Johnny Cash was just so artistically at his peak to me. And it actually comes on this perfectly clear vinyl, which is amazing. I always love like glass clear vinyl. It's kind of hard to come by, but yeah, I listened to this and it sounds fantastic. And there was really no problems with it, so I guess the previous owner just like played it once and never played it again. But yeah, very stoked to have it, and I really am trying to get more of the American series very soon. This month was really fruitful for albums I've been looking for a little while, and this is David Bowie's Scary Monsters. Now, I've been looking for this album for probably about like 1.5 2 years now, and yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon by any means necessary, it just never comes around my area. But yeah, this is an original on RCA, and was very stoked to find it for $5. Comes in the original sleeves, a little taped up, but that's okay. And again, the record sounds really great. I listened to it, and just, yeah, I mean, Bowie's production, I don't know who specifically did it on this album or if Bowie did it himself, but Bowie's production is always just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, very wild album for Bowie, very different, even compared to some of the stuff he was doing in the Berlin trilogy right before this. So yeah, very good stuff, highly recommended, definitely one of my favorite Bowie albums. So with one of my gift cards, I finally broke down and bought a copy of one of my favorite 2016 releases. This is Street Sects End Position. Now, this is just some wild, abrasive, noisy, chaotic, like industrial hip-hop-ish music. It combines so many wild genres. Like, the only other thing I can even compare it to is Death Grips, but these guys are more like Nine Inch Nails, like industrial type, whereas Death Grips is kind of just like experimental and out there. But yeah, the packaging and the art design is like an 11 out of 10 on this. I absolutely love all of the merch they do. If I could afford it, I would buy some, or all of it most likely. But yeah, even continuing on to the inner sleeves, I mean, just look at these colors, the very amazing designs, just so dismal and dark. And again, just comes with a lyric sheet. Their logo is awesome. So yeah, and it comes with a download. So fantastic stuff. If you guys are into just insane fucking music, and you haven't listened to this, you're definitely doing yourself a disservice. But yeah, very happy to have this, and I definitely want to get their EP that they released in 2017 as well. So this was the only record I actually got for Christmas, and this was from my younger brother, and this was the final Godspeed You Black Emperor album I needed, and this is Asunder, Sweet, and Other Distress. Now, I like this album a lot more than most other fans of the band. I mean, I generally see it gets like average reviews, but I really enjoy it. I think that them shortening their sound a little bit was very different and dynamic and interesting. And again, every time I have a Godspeed album, I say, look at the goddamn packaging on this thing, but for real, like, it's so gorgeous every time. Like, it's worth every single cent with what you see as you open up the record. Again, to the inner sleeve, just really well done design. I don't know why I'm so infatuated with it. It's just so creepy and dark, but it's so gorgeously done. And it comes with a little poster type of deal. So very cool stuff. Again, Godspeed You, just a very interesting, dynamic, instrumental / post-rock group. They came back in the early 2010s and have been releasing great albums since. Not as comparable as to their early albums, but definitely still some amazing releases. But very stoked to have this, and thank you again for my little brother for helping me finish my set of their albums. As I said earlier, I was quite into jazz this month, and this was another one that I picked up, and this is John Coltrane's Blue Train. Now, I mean, I really don't know what to say about any Coltrane album, really, especially like the big ones like this one. But it's just some of the most dynamic, best, powerful jazz music around. I mean, Coltrane was a master at making his instrument a part of him and not necessarily an object he was holding in his hand and trying to create with. It was just a normal flow of energy through him and his instrument, and it created some of the most well-played, sophisticated jazz arrangements of all time. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Again, if you guys have never listened to Coltrane, I definitely recommend. It's very academic in a way, as lame as that term is, but yeah, fantastic album. Yet another John Coltrane album, and this is My Favorite Things, and this is one of my favorite Coltrane albums. But yeah, this is, again, one of my personal favorites. His interpretation of My Favorite Things is absolutely incredible. It's just so different, but yet you can obviously hear the original tune. So yeah, really well done stuff. What I love about jazz albums is they're pretty cut and dry. They usually don't have a bunch of filler. They give you the record, and it always sounds pristine, and that's about it. So yeah, it comes on these really gorgeous Atlantic labels, green and blue. It just looks really nice together for some reason. So yeah, amazing album though. Like I said, this is definitely one of my favorite Coltrane albums, right up there with like Love Supreme and Giant Steps. So yeah, great stuff. And if you guys, again, have never listened to Coltrane, you definitely should get on that. Getting down to the second to last album, this is Bad Bad Not Goods 3. Now, these guys are all a bunch of early 20-year-olds playing some of the most sophisticated jazz music of all time, but also innovating the jazz genre by throwing hip-hop into it because jazz is stale and needs reforming. So yeah, this is definitely one of the greatest things to happen to music in like the last 10 years. Bad Bad Not Good, absolutely ridiculous. This album and the one that came after, they focused more on formal arrangements and stuff like that, but it was still very wild, very dynamic, has a very hip-hop edge to it in a lot of areas, and it is pushing the genre forward, which is a great thing, because even on their first album, they make a joke about how, you know, jazz has been stuck in the 1960s since the 1960s. So yeah, amazing. I absolutely adore these guys. Their album BBNG2 was absolutely one of the best things to come out this decade. So yeah, amazing album, and I'm very stoked to finally have it. And the final thing I picked up during the holiday season, this is an original pressing of King Crimson's Lark's Tongues in Aspic. Now, King Crimson is a band that needs no introduction. I think In the Court of the Crimson King is pretty much known by most people who know even a little bit about music. But yeah, this is my personal favorite King Crimson release. I feel like In the Court of the Crimson King is obviously incredible and it's a masterpiece, but I really like a lot more of the instruments they use on this, and they were more willing to experiment with sound and not just the instruments. They really build up the tempos on some of these. I mean, some of these songs explode at certain points, but there's so much momentum and drive going into them that it just creates this insane climax in a song, or at least a peak. And yeah, fantastic stuff. Comes with the original inner sleeve, and again on those Atlantic labels, the orange and green ones. So yeah, very cool stuff. King Crimson is absolutely incredible, and like I said, I own Court of the Crimson King. I was very stoked to get another one. Now I just need to find a copy of Red, and I will have like the 3 best ones. So very happy to have this one. Alright guys, so that was the vinyl haul for December, the last month of the year. Let me know down below, guys, what was your favorite thing I picked up? And while you're down in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe, and until next time, guys, take care.